Hi, I'm Paul Baxter now, and welcome not to a weekly blog post this time. This is the first in a series of videos I'd like to present on relationships. Now, as bodybuilders, we all have relationships, whether it's as sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, etc. But the relationships I really wanted to focus on are those intimate relationships. So today we're going to be talking about relationships, mistakes and lessons. You'll more quickly find an earthly thing kept from the earth than you will a person cut off from other human beings. Marcus Aurelius. Each and every one of us is unique in our own way. However, what we do all have in common is that we are not meant to go through life alone. Not simply having friends around us, but a soulmate that is there with us to share each of life's moments of glory, as much of those moments where we fail, or life has thrown at us something of the suffering that comes along with merely being human. Now, why did I say soulmate? Does that sound cheesy, pastiche? A parody of a true romantic lifelong relationship? Perhaps. But it is difficult to know how to describe something that is ever changing and needs constant attention to make sure that it remains what it should be. A unique, one-of-a-kind relationship with another person who you trust implicitly, love no matter what, and care for and protect with everything you possess to keep the relationship alive and strong enough to last a lifetime. Now, we have many relationships. We are all brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, friends, perhaps leaders to some people, followers to others. They are all important. If you wish to minimize drama in your life and maximize joy, however, it is that of lover or husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other to significant other that I wish to talk about in this short series. Now, how does this affect, or has it got anything to do with bodybuilding? You may well ask. Well, not directly, but if you choose to be a bodybuilder, then your lifestyle will present some unique challenges, and it also presents some unique benefits to your loved ones and your relationship with them. And relationships in bodybuilding are just the same as any other, in that too many of us neglect to put in enough effort, time and thought to make sure that it works. Oh sure, the first 6 months for most couples are or should be relatively easy, and they should be special. And it's for the reason that you are thinking about the relationship nearly all the time. You're planning how to make your partner happy. You're thinking of creating special moments that will last a lifetime in your memories. It's when the newness, the uniqueness has worn off that the work begins. If you want it to work, and if you don't want it to work, then please do the decent thing and get out to allow your partner the opportunity to not waste their time. You wouldn't like for someone else to string you along for 6 months if they weren't serious about you. So like anything in life, the old adage of treat people as you would like to be treated is as applicable in relationships as anywhere. Now, basic things first. Do I believe in love and a forever love where two people fall in love and stay together until they die? Yes, I do believe it. And I've seen it, not only with my parents, but my wife's parents also. Now, I know it exists, but I also know that it didn't last without a lot of hard work by both individuals. And even then, there are always good times and bad times. But you can find a love that with constant nourishment and work can see you through those good times and bad times and still come out together. Looking back at my parents' marriage and that of my in-laws, I love looking at old photographs of moments throughout their lives. Moments which were obviously golden memories for both of them, and some I was privileged to share. Of course, we don't remember the bad times or the difficult periods the same, but they come with being with someone, and there are many things which can help make those difficult times not quite so dramatic or painful. The one that springs immediately mind is that of communication, of communicating the small things that you are not happy with, or vice versa. As mythology tells us, the small baby dragon always grows up to be a huge fire-breathing beast. So it's always better to tackle issues when they are small and have them out. Whether it produces an argument or not, you can guarantee the argument will be a lot smaller at this stage than later, when it will become perhaps a relationship breaking problem. Perhaps an affair or a we've changed conversation. Look, we all change. And as long as the communication is open, honest and continual, then you change together and not the other way apart. What does literature, mythology and philosophy tell us about love relationships? Much. Love stories have been the central plot in many, many books since time began. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare, Casablanca by Murray Burnett, A Midsummer Night's Dream again by Shakespeare, Dr. Zhivago by Boris Pasternak, Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. They're just a few that I can think of off the top of my head. Mythology? How about Osiris and Isis? Psyche and Cupid? Eurydice and Orpheus? Helen of Troy and Paris? Cleopatra and Mark Antony? Aphrodite and Adonis? Or Isolde and Tristan? Again, the names are known by most people, and the stories the greatest love stories of all time. But what about the philosophers? Did the Stoics believe in love? Absolutely, yes. Seneca wrote of love as a sort of very strong form of friendship. Such relationships in the context of Stoicism are to be valued, where each participant is concerned with the other's well-being and development towards virtue. But let's take this a little further and try and thread out a little more about having a Stoic mindset and also being in love. From the outsider, Stoics can seem to be all about reason. That is, if we use our reason in interpreting events and people's actions, then we may still hold ourselves to those values of virtue, integrity, honour and honesty that we always aspire to. Now let's think about our modern perspective on love. Is it the same as it's always been historically? Again, yes, I think the answer is yes. The great love stories of antiquity illustrate that great love stories have always captured our imaginations as to what's possible for ourselves in life. Stoicism teaches us that we don't need to create anything. All we need to do instead is to remove the barriers that are inhibiting us from being who we naturally are as human beings, kind and loving. Okay, now let's put some emotion into this, as otherwise to treat everything philosophically ends up turning something as fluid, beautiful, and that existed as part of the creation process, that in its natural turn brings us into the ones who have the power of creation of a new life, which in its most fundamental expression is what sex and making love is ultimately about. And like it or not, no one can separate the two. Whilst you think you are engaging in what you think casual sex is, one thing it can never be is casual. But we'll cover that in a later part of the series. All I will say to you now is sex never is or never can be ever casual. From a biological, from a psychological perspective, more so for the woman due to certain hormonal responses. But don't think for a minute that the male is immune from a different set of hormonal and psychological responses of our own. But back to how Stoicism can help you in your love relationship or your quest for one. Now, there is a time for all things, and not everyone wishes or should wish to be in a loving long-term relationship, but there will come a time when you will wish to do so. How do you find the woman, the man of your dreams, the desires and your evolutionary requirements? That means someone who will satisfy either your desire to be protected, loved, and to have the resources available to you to give to your offspring the best chances of survival. Well, if you set your life to becoming the very best of who it is you wish to be, then you can be sure that you will instantly be in the group of men or women that are the most desirable by the opposite sex, or indeed the same sex. Let's take a look at an example of a 20-year-old male. He trains hard and he loves bodybuilding, but he also would love to be in a long-term relationship with a woman. But not just any woman. He wants the very best woman he can imagine, from looks to intelligence to humour to caring to her level of femininity. Most 20-year-old men are not focused on finding their purpose in this world. Most are not setting themselves standards of behaviour each and every day, and for each and every action they take, to wake up and say to themselves, today I will try to live as virtuously, as honestly, as nobly, with integrity, and even if I cannot always tell the truth, because at times it may hurt somebody, I will never lie to anyone. He is already disciplined in his training, his eating, and his goal for his sport. But he has now decided that he must live his whole life with these values, and everyone who he meets must be received by him with these values. He had decided no matter what it is, even if he does not yet himself know the ingredients precisely, he will be a good man in all he does. Now answer me this. Statistically speaking, a man marries a woman roughly 4 years younger than him. But no matter, even if he likes a woman of his own age, so a 20-year-old woman, do you think he is more or less likely to be attractive to her if he is a man that lives his life like this? Or do you think she would be more interested in someone who has set no plan for the future, no job, doesn't care about his health or his appearance, lies around smoking weed all day or playing on his Xbox or PlayStation? Of course, some will say, there are always exceptions, but this is the point. The point is a man who lives honourably, who will allow nothing in his life to stop him achieving his dreams, who will love her with integrity and honour, respect her as though she is worthy of respect, engage with her in conversation, and devote time to her when she needs him to, is the man who is most highly desired by women. And mark the important word highly desired here. For when you hold yourself to the values of those of integrity, honour, nobility and humility, you will find that those of low desirability are not the women that you are attracted to. You want someone who is aligned with your own values. No, your goals and interests needn't be the same. In fact, how boring would it be if they were always the same? But that your reason holds you together so strongly that you have the security and the desire to see her blossom as the full woman she can be. Encourage her to do whatever it is that she longs to do. If she is feminine, it is likely she will be free-flowing, creative and expressive. Now that comes with it waves of passion, those good and bad. My friend, but they are always worth it. She may be like a wave crashing onto the shore, on a high one moment and then crashing against the rocks the next, giving you the full front of that explosion. Both are what makes her her. She will test you fully. Any good woman will and must test her man fully. She needs to know if you will give way to the first sign of difficulty that comes your way, or whether you are strong enough to weather her storm and still remain standing, unshakable and unmovable, and still loving her. You want a woman who will test your goals. She is the voice of life itself, testing to see if you will keep chasing those dreams even when it becomes difficult, and the tough times come, and they will come. For she knows if she can shake you, then life itself will destroy you. She is the life force itself, and it is your greatest test to see if you can remain unmoved after all she can throw at you. No, I don't mean physically, because then she knows that she can rely on you no matter what comes your way as a couple. Remember, apply yourself to thinking through difficulties. Hard times can be softened, tight squeezes widened, and heavy loads made lighter for those who can apply the right pressure. But this is the start. Become the man first who sets these tasks for himself daily and follow them through. And don't let yourself down. And the greatest part is this: you can start today. She doesn't expect, nor does she want you to be the finished product. She wants to grow with you and see you become the man that every woman wants, but who gives his love to just one woman, her. And she'll know, women always do at some level within them, if you are truthful or not, if you're strong or if you will waver. When she thinks you are truthful, then she may test you, and she will most likely never stop testing you. But do you ever want to stop being tested? Do you ever want to stop being the best man you could be? No, of course you don't. Remember, avoid false friendships at all costs. If you are good, straightforward, and well-meaning, it should show in your eyes and not escape notice. So before you start thinking about relationships, decide first who it is you wish to be, who you are, what are your loves, your strengths, your gifts, and then align yourself to the highest of standards any man could ever be subject to, as it says in the Bible. Take up your cross. Whether you are a Christian or not, these are wise words. It means you carry your burden, your responsibilities, carry them, and carry the heaviest load you can manage. For then you will attract the worthiest woman to you, and what man does not wish that? So get your own house in order before you even try to take ownership of two. Don't engage in worthless, meaningless relationships, for they will destroy you eventually. And you know that number 10 woman that you see every day and wish you had the courage to ask out, do you think she wants to go out with a man who indulges in things like that? Or do you think she wants a man who will respect her and take her seriously as she deserves to be taken? Keep yourself noble, king-like, and virtuous, and you will find the courage of a king. It will come to you. Why? Because you'll believe that you now deserve someone like that, and you will. Take charge of yourself. Already has told us. You've endured countless troubles, all from not letting your ruling principle do the work it was made for. Enough already. Take charge, take ownership, and end your troubles. So that is where to begin. The next part of the series is more for the woman. But it will give many men an insight into why they seem to choose what might be deemed to be bad men and bad choices, and why the good guys often seem to fail. Well, there's nothing weak or soft about a stoic man. They are dangerous. It's just that they know when to unsheath their sword and when to keep it in their scabbard and when to keep it open. And it is not always in what you do that may lie your problem, but in what you do not do. Often injustice lies in what you aren't doing, not only in what you are doing. Wake up, set your plan in action, vow to yourself to live your life in the most noble way you can, and where you see injustice, be strong enough to call it out. The greatest love stories of them all from literature to mythology, from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet to Isolde and Tristan, all have messages and lessons for us. Look at Helen of Troy and Paris. If Paris had gone to fight Achilles, despite death, which the gods wouldn't have let happen anyway, Would Helen then have had more respect and love for her Paris? Or when she sees him wither under the masculinity of his brother Hector, does she realise her mistakes? And yet, does Hector, in seeing the horror of the war Helen has brought to Troy, think he wished his brother Paris had been more honourable and more virtuous and never stolen another man's wife in the first place? Why not read Homer's The Iliad and find out for yourself? That's it for the first part of the series. Join me soon for another few lessons from literature and philosophy in how we can become better partners in our relationships, or better candidates in attracting our perfect partner. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to part 2 coming your way very soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye. In attracting our perfect partner. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to part 2 coming your way very soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.